Hi, this is Angela from Tour de Kart. And this is Rhaegar, and this is Drogo. Drogo's favorite driver is Dry Bowser, and Rhaegar's favorite driver is Cat Toad. If you ever hear any loud barking like woof or woo, or any soft barking like oof or in the podcast, it's these two. Although we are primarily a podcast, we are adding some exclusive content to YouTube. Some of the topics that we cover, we feel have a visual component, so they would be better on YouTube, like our tutorials and our pipefuls. We hope you enjoyed the videos, and please look for our podcast, Tour de Kart, a Mario Kart Tour podcast, wherever you listen to podcasts. Bye! Hi, everyone, and welcome to Tour de Kart, a Mario Kart Tour podcast. We wanted to do a podcast because we all love Mario Kart Tour, and we are a family.
Hi, I'm Mark. I'm Angela's brother.
Hi, I'm Kristal. I'm Angela's sister.
Hi, I'm Ryan. I'm Angela's husband.
And I'm Angela. So welcome to our podcast. This is going to be our pilot episode. We just kind of want to help new players understand the game and get into the game. Just kind of basically how to play and how to understand what we're talking about. Our normal setup will just be going over the weekly tours and kind of everything that's new and exciting going on. But this is really for anyone that's a beginner that needs to know the lingo, needs to know how everything works. So if you're more of an experienced player, why don't you just go ahead and listen to our tour episodes instead of this pilot episode. But this pilot episode is really focused to just kind of give a basic understanding of the game and how to play and how to do well.
So you might learn something new. You never know.
You never do.
So to begin with, let's talk about just what our tour is. So our tour lasts 2 weeks. It starts in the middle of the night on Wednesday morning at 1 a.m. It kind of resets everything. It lasts 2 weeks. Kristal, why don't you explain kind of what is in each tour, what it's about?
Yeah, so when you first open up the game, that's what you'll see is the tour screen. It'll give you some artwork to show what the theme is. For example, right now we're on the autumn tour. So everything is autumn or fall themed. The characters or drivers that they're highlighting this tour are the new Tanukis. So that kind of fits with the theme as well. But you'll find each tour has a different theme and different drivers that are highlighted.
Right, so that's kind of an overview of a tour. In case you were wondering, kind of when your screen pops up, it'll say what tour it is. So let's get into the basic loading screen. Let's start at the very top menu. The first thing on the top menu at the left is called the player level. So Ryan, do you want to explain that?
Sure. So the player level is the experience you gain from racing on each individual course. And that's different from any of the characters and individual drivers like the Tanuki Mario. That's for your level as a player on the account. The maximum level you can achieve is 150. And as you gain each level, you'll get a reward, 100 coins for individual levels, and every 5 levels, you'll get 5 rubies.
And that's a good segue into what coins are, what rubies are, and what are tokens, the 3 main currencies of the game. So let's start with rubies, because we find those the most valuable and the most important. Kristal, what are rubies?
Rubies are definitely the most valuable because you can spend rubies on pipes, and pipes have the best stuff in them. The way to look at rubies is you can save up 5 rubies to pull the pipe one time. Or if you save up 45 rubies, you can pull the pipe 10 times. So you save about 5 rubies there. It's a good idea to try to save to 45.
You're right. So rubies are tied to pipes, and that's how you kind of use rubies. Angela, what about tokens? What tokens are tied to the token shop, but how do you get tokens? What do you use them for?
So tokens would normally be at the top of your screen as well. I believe it's between the coins and the rubies. So the tokens actually apply to the token shop, which is one of the shops in your little shop menu. The tokens can be earned, and then buying things in the token shop from the tokens that you earn. You can collect those racing through races, and every tour kind of changes for how you can collect those tokens. For example, we're doing this podcast in the autumn tour, and right now you can hit enemies to earn tokens or knock over pumpkins, but you just kind of have to look in your player announcements, your announcements, to see what the different way for that tour is to earn tokens. So there's only specific items in the token shop that can then be exchanged for tokens.
Yeah, and I think you'll probably get a feel for how you earn tokens, like after you do a race or two, kind of understanding that. So uh, the last currency is coins, but regrouping real quickly. So the colors are important. So the red represents rubies, which Kristal talked about. Green represents tokens, what Angela talked about. And the yellow represents coins. And Ryan, what are coins used for?
So coins are used for there's two different shops you can use coins for. There's a daily select shop, which changes every day. And then there's a tier shop, which changes once per week. And the items in there can vary in price from 50 coins up to 20,000 coins, depending on what level you are in the game. And you collect the coins by racing on the tracks and hitting players and getting all the different items. You'll save them up and you can then spend them in those daily select shop on items that you don't have or to level up items you do have.
Yeah, I think that's maybe the most like troubling part of the game as someone who's just beginning, trying to understand like where do these three currencies and where do they go. So we thought that was a good starting point. The other thing I think we're going to go through is kind of walking through just the screen in general. So if you go to the bottom of the menu, on the far left, there's multiplayer. Um, Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about multiplayer and kind of what's in there?
Yeah, so multiplayer is kind of an interesting mode of a way to play the game. Multiplayer, you can race with other players around the world, and you can see everyone has different types of names, and sometimes it's in a different language. That's pretty interesting. You can also play with your friends in here, and you can play just with your friends or with people from around the world with some of your friends, which is really fun. You can earn up to 100 coins just racing these multiplayer races. And then you can also actually race through your entire tour this way if you want to, all of your cups. And you can also earn stars this way too. So it's a pretty broad way to do the game if you want to do it this way.
And the 100 coins, that's kind of like an extra bonus they give you just for waiting for the game to load in multiplayer. You can kind of see them at the bottom, your cart kind of running into the coins running into your cart. You can get 100 per day. So some extra coins if you're looking to get some extra. But yeah, I think that covers multiplayer. The next one at the bottom is called the challenges screen. And there's a decent amount to talk through here. Crystal, do you want to try to take the first kind of walkthrough of it?
Sure. So I think the challenge cards, a very important thing to note is under each challenge card, it'll tell you how many days are left on the challenge card. So keep that in mind. If you're trying to earn things on that card, don't let that expire. But then as you get towards the end of the challenge cards, there's some blue challenge cards that never expire. And they'll have lots of things for you to do in the game. They're an extra way to earn rubies. And as we said, rubies are really valuable. So you'll like those challenge cards.
Yeah, so the other two colors of challenge cards, well, there's a couple of different colors, but every other color besides blue will expire. So keep an eye on the top to see, like Crystal said, when they would expire. There's green, there's red, there's orange. So when you're going through these challenge cards to figure out what you need to kind of complete them, just touch the picture and it will tell you what you need to complete. And then as you complete the challenge card, kind of the picture the stars, the rubies, they'll fill in. So you can kind of see it's sort of like a tic-tac-toe as well. So if you complete rows on the or columns or rows and then diagonals, you will get extra items for completing those. So this is kind of a really important thing in the game to complete these if you really want to get more of your currency, coins, rubies, whatever the card says.
Yeah. I think they're kind of like self-explanatory as you kind of read the challenges, and most of them involve kind of racing, whether it's in against a computer or it's in multiplayer too. They have some challenges that way, so that's a good way to earn kind of extra currency, like Angela was saying. The next at the bottom is tour gifts. Ryan, do you want to kind of talk through the tour gifts?
Yeah. So the tour gifts start with every new tour that begins every 2 weeks. And there's always new gifts available each tour. How you collect the tour gifts is by doing each individual race and earning stars on those races. You can earn up to 5 stars per race. And then the challenge cards that we were just discussing can also earn you additional stars. As you complete those challenges and complete the races, you earn more stars, and that'll earn you more of the gifts. So try the best you can to get through each of the races, get as many stars as you can to collect as many of the gifts as you can.
Right. So the next thing that you can kind of see at the bottom of your menu next to tour gifts on the right is the shop. So we've kind of talked through this already, right, guys? So the shop is your currency. So you can use your coins here, you can use your rubies here. You just kind of have to look through the shop, and these are all of your different options to use your tokens, coins, and rubies.
You can also spend real money in the shop as well. It's tempting sometimes, so be careful what you spend on.
Yeah. So as we kind of go through this, if Brian has his phone up, you want to scroll through it and just talk through kind of the order of how the shop's laid out?
Yeah, so when you first enter the shop at the beginning, at the very, very top, it has the banners. Those are the paid items, the actual things that are for sale. Like during the autumn tour right now, they have Black Yoshi with 45 rubies and a point boost ticket for $20. And they limit you to only buying that for 3 times. You can scroll to the right using a right arrow.
Do you recognize that one more?
A little bit.
If you scroll to the right using the right arrow, you can see the additional banners that they have available. Those banners, they are new each tour, but then for the first week, there's certain banners available. And then the second week, they add new banners. So if you hit the right arrow, you can scroll through that and it shows you what the different banners are. So the second one that you can do is 90 rubies for Rose Pauline and her lime tea coupe cart, and that's $40. Continuing.
That's real money, y'all.
Yeah.
Yeah, so real money is also a currency in the game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But underneath the banners, right, are the pipes. So that's the expensive thing that Kristal was talking about, where we value our rubies.
Yeah.
We have a saying, hold your rubies. So, I mean, different pipes have different things. As you kind of get more involved in the game, you can kind of understand like the details of each pipe and kind of what they entail. Maybe by clicking on it and kind of understanding a little bit more. I will say for the beginning thing, I never knew that you could reset a pipe. What that means is you can kind of reset, the remaining and get it back to 50 and kind of start a pipe brand new. So I think we could talk forever about pipes and odds and stuff like that. And maybe we'll do a video like that down the road. But if you scroll down a little bit more, Kristal, what's next?
The token shop. Again, the token shop does expire. So right under the token shop, it'll tell you how many days are left. That's something I did not understand at the beginning of the game. I had a bunch of tokens to spend, and it was the last day of the token shop, and they just never got spent. So yeah, keep an eye on that. Make sure you spend your tokens before all those things are gone. And the token shop will vary every tour. It resets with new things.
I think that
not only does it expire after 7 days, right, Angela? What else happens? You can't take your tokens and use them next week, right?
Yeah, so a rule of thumb is say you're a casual player and you log in maybe once a week. When you earn your tokens, when you're about to leave the game, spend them. Don't leave them there to pile up because they will expire, like Kristal had said. So it's almost a rule of thumb that I do every day. When I'm done earning my tokens for the day, I just go and spend them on what I want, just so that you don't let these expire. Especially if you're a casual or new player, you do not want to let the tokens that you earn go to waste.
And getting back to like tour lasts 2 weeks and it kind of resets at 1 a.m. on Wednesday morning. That's when your tokens would expire during that time. Um, so
So the
spend
token
them.
shop is the same for 2 weeks, just to clarify.
Yep. Yep.
A tour will be one token shop, an entire tour, just one token shop.
Yep.
Mhm.
So Ryan, can you talk a little bit about the daily selects?
Yeah, so the next shop is the daily selects. And in there, there's specific items that are available for purchase. And these items are only available for purchase with coins. So, for example, in the one I have right now, I have Baby Daisy, which is a normal driver for 800 coins. There's the Super Daisy, which is a little bit rare, the rare character for 3,000 coins. And then you can get carts and gliders. You can get different kinds of tickets in there. Um, and those items change every day. So as the game resets at 1 a.m. Central Time for us, this shop will change every single day. So if there's an item that you mean to get that day, you better buy it. Sometimes if there's something specific you're looking for, you'll want to save up a certain amount of coins to make sure you can buy it the next time it shows up because it's all random. In the news section, it lists in the news what specific items are available in daily selects because not all drivers, carts, and gliders that are available in the game are available to show up in the shop. That's very important to know too.
Yeah, so it's got a little expiration tag at the top too. Like right now it says 3 hours. So that's kind of your window to get whatever's in there daily.
I think the other thing cool about the daily selects is it's randomized to each person that plays too. So you might get like a really high-end driver that's like a really expensive driver, but you know your friend that's playing that day could not have that show up at all. So it's pretty random and kind of how stuff shows up there for each player specifically. Unlike the token shop where it's the same for every player, and the tier shop too, as well. So,
Oh,
Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about the tier shop? I mean, I guess maybe what I just said was incorrect too. The tier shop does have some of the tickets kind of vary a little bit by person as well, but the first row of the tier shop, I think is always the same for everyone.
yes.
Yeah, everyone has the first similar, it's exactly the same in the first row. The other tickets, which are the second row down, those can vary by person, but typically the first row are 3 items and they could be a mixture of anything really. They could be high-end items, they could be super items, but it typically is tailored to each week in the tour. A tour is 2 weeks, so each week this will refresh. Um, so typically it's something that you might want that week. So keep an eye on that. That does expire too. It's expiring for us in 3 hours as well. If there's something you want, it's pretty weird to have 2 high-end items in there. High end are the purple. But yeah, just keep an eye on it. And if you want to save your coins, there could be something interesting in the tier shop that you could want, especially if you're starting out.
And Ryan is at a pretty high tier, so he has everything kind of showing up there. I know if you're kind of beginning level player, you might have a couple things not show up there, but I think the first row is always available to everyone um, from the beginning point. So just keep that in mind as you kind of level up a little bit more. Some stuff might start showing up there.
So if you go back to the main menu again, um, you're kind of going into the last item of your bottom categories on the right is called menu, and it's a little blue button. So now we're going to kind of get into the categories in here. The first category is the little picture of Mario and it's drivers. So corresponding in here are the colors of drivers versus what they are in the game. So all of your drivers with the silver background, those are actually kind of your lowest level drivers. Those are called normal drivers. So the babies, you see a lot of babies in here. Then it kind of cuts off at Mario. And if you can tell, he has a gold background and he is called a super character. So everyone with the gold background is called super. So they are slightly better than the normal characters. Um, and those are a little bit more common to find, like in the game, but they still are an upgrade from the normal drivers. Then all of the characters in purple are called high end drivers, and those are kind of the rarest drivers that you can get.
Each driver also has a skill. So if you look at the bottom left of each driver's picture, you'll see a smaller picture. For example, the first high-end driver, Metal Mario, has a little flower in his left corner. And if you click on him, you'll see that that represents the special skill Fire Flower. As you race with that in the game, it actually has 3 pieces of fire that are around you. You can shoot them at people, they kind of protect you. It's a skill specific to Metal Mario and a few other characters, drivers in the game. And each skill has its pros and cons. As you play the game, you'll notice some skills are better than others. You'll like some better than others. Like for instance, Marks, what are some of your favorite skills?
I love the coin boxes. So the coin boxes are a great way to rack up points. Essentially, what a coin box does is you hit an item box, and as you're racing, and the coin box will pop up, and it's essentially like a box that shows up above your driver and starts spilling out coins everywhere, and then you can kind of run them over and collect more coins. It's an easy way to get coins as you race throughout the day. So I like that. It's also helpful when you try to generate some high scores. Um, some of the other items that are pretty cool, there's a couple characters that have the giant banana that you can lay behind you, which is really fun. It's a big giant banana where other characters, it's hard to miss it. So the characters kind of run into it, and then one person runs into a giant banana, then it kind of breaks out into 3 bananas, and then you're going to hit more characters coming behind them. So it's a kind of cool way if you're in first and you get the giant banana. It's really fun to play with. So and then my last kind of favorite one is maybe the Lucky 7. I think that's a good one. It has like 7 different items involved with it. Um, and if you get one of those characters, kind of play around with it. It's kind of fun once you get a Lucky 7 too.
Yeah, so if you touch one of your characters, we're just going to touch PGP, Pink Gold Peach, one of our favorite characters in the game. You'll see that there's 2 kind of boxes that kind of we'll talk about what each of those boxes sort of mean, but the one on the left is kind of the points on your character, the one on the right is called skill. So those are 2 separate things, but it determines how many points you can add up when you're doing a race.
Yeah, let me talk about the left side of it. So the points. So the points are whatever that number represents. It represents kind of the points that you get from racing with that uh, character when you start before you do anything in the game. Before you earn any points from doing like a turbo or a jump or something, you earn skill points to kind of boost your score. But that's kind of the starting point that they're going to give you as a kind of reward for your points for that race. The way you get that number higher is you can do it a couple different ways. The easiest way is just to race with that character, and after each race, it'll show you how you boost it up. And then there's kind of like smaller levels within it, and then once you kind of reach and see that filter kind of closing into to the from left to right, it boosts up the total points as well. The other way you can do it is there's some tickets that we'll talk about shortly that you can boost it automatically. Um, Crystal, why don't you talk about the right side of the player? Uh, So instead of points, this is called skills on the right. What does skill represent?
So skill is also going to help your total points on a race. And basically, it represents how many of that character you've collected. So, for example, if you had one pink gold peach and you bought another one or got another one in a pipe, it would go up to level 2. Another way you can up your level is with a ticket. So you wouldn't actually have to get another one of that character, but you could have just a high end ticket that you place on that character, and that would also up its skill to the next level. And another important thing, sorry, about levels is that it can also unlock more courses for you. And it also, as Ryan scrolled down, you can look at that too. It can also unlock how many frenzies you'll get, how many points boost you get at the end, even the way that your special skill operates in the game. Like there's a coin box plus if you get to level 4 on a high end, and you'll have a um, better use of your skill. It's kind of upgraded.
Yeah.
That's why kind of in our episodes when we brag if we have a level 6 or 7, you're kind of getting to the maximum there. So it's a great thing to brag about.
Yeah. Right now, the maximum skill level for a character, cart, or glider is level 7. Hopefully, no level 8 anytime soon.
Yeah, so I think that covers drivers. So every time you do a race, you have to pick a driver, a cart, and a glider. So the next one we'll talk about after drivers is carts. Um, Carts work very similar to drivers and how they're set up. They're normal carts, there's super carts, and then there's high-end carts as well. Um, so what are some of the skill sets, Ryan, that you like in carts? So there's a couple different ones, right? Can you kind of explain them?
Yeah, so my two favorite are a mini turbo boost, where it will give you bonus points for doing mini turbos during a race, and a mini turbo is like drifting in a race, or a jump boost. So if you go over a jump at all in a race, you'll get extra points for doing a jump. After that, I like the dash panel. Those are those kind of like yellow, orange colored panels that'll be on the course that'll make you go faster. So each time you run over one of those, you'll get a boost to bonus points. The ones that are kind of not as great after that are a rocket start. So you can only get that bonus point one time. And then there's a slipstream, which is drafting off of another character, which one is hard to do, and two, you can easily get hit and knocked out by trying to draft off of another character in the game.
Yeah.
So carts work the same way. If you touch a cart, it's sort of the same left side and right side.
Yeah, so there's points very similar to drivers, and their skill set, like Angela was saying, very similar to drivers. The other thing that I'll say that's very similar to drivers as well is the course selection as well. So as you level up the skill, you get more courses with the cards. Um, and yeah, I think that's about it for carts. I think the last thing we want to talk through is gliders. Crystal, do you want to kind of talk through gliders?
Yeah, just the same as drivers and carts, you'll see that there are normal ones, super ones, and high-end ones. You'll also notice that each one has a certain skill. And for gliders, this represents an increased likelihood of getting that item in your item boxes when you're racing. So you can look through the different items. And again, as you play, you'll kind of figure out which ones you like better than others. Most of us think that the coin glider is probably the best one in terms of points in the game. So if you click on a glider, you'll see, just like before, the points and the skill, and then the special skill represents whatever item you're going to get more frequently when you're racing.
Yeah, so I think the other big component of the game in total would probably be tickets, right?
Yeah.
Um, so with tickets, there's a lot of different tickets, so it's very confusing. Um, and we'll try to break it down. So if you go to like the ticket menu, um, which is its own kind of section in the menu itself, you see it starts out at the top with an item ticket, and the item ticket is just something you can click on as you're racing, and it'll give you like if you kind of went through another item box that automatically suddenly appears. So I would say out of the tickets, it's probably the least valuable of all the tickets because it doesn't really do anything more than you use it kind of once and it's over with. Um, Angela, how about the point boost tickets, which is the
Yes.
next section?
Yeah, so these are the red tickets. There's a driver, a cart, and a glider on each color. And that's kind of self explanatory. When we were talking about the characters, the carts, and the glider, these are all the points boost, meaning the left column when you touched on each thing. So that is going to get your base points higher and higher. And there is a maximum on that. And it's different for each normal, super, or high end. So it kind of tallies into your points you could earn on a race.
Yeah. So these are also when I was talking about kind of the points. You could also just kind of earn these with using the cart driver or glider during a race and naturally kind of boosting them up. This is kind of a faster way to do that if you don't want to spend the time kind of in the races racing with them themselves.
Right.
Mhm.
So, Brian, the next one is the lava boost tickets.
Yeah, so with the level boost tickets, there's one each for driver, cart, and glider, and for each rarity of type of driver, cart, and glider. So there's a level ticket for normal items, super items, and high-end items. The normal ones are the most common to get, as are the normal drivers, carts, and gliders. The rarest, of course, being the high-end ones. These are what you can use to increase the individual skill level that Crystal was talking about. If you want to see which ones you can put the tickets into, you can touch on an individual ticket, and it'll show you what characters are available, or a driver, or a cart or glider. Um, Generally, it's good to kind of try to save those for specific uses, and not just throw them into any random one that you want. Of course, if you have a favorite, do what you like.
So yeah, so this would be equivalent to like if you had one Mario and then you pulled another Mario, it would go up to level 2. But if you didn't ever pull another Mario and you just had it at level 1, you could use one of these super driver tickets and boost Mario up to level 2 if you wanted to. Um, so it's kind of like a a free ticket, your choice for any character that you can kind of add on to.
Yeah.
The-
Um,
These are probably the most valuable tickets in the whole game, also. So if you're just starting and you're not sure how to use them, save them till you have a better idea of what drivers you like, what things are more valuable to you. Even as we played a long time now in this game, these are the tickets we covet.
yeah,
Yeah.
especially the high end ones.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
um, so the next one is a little bit of the tricky, the point cap tickets. Um, so these are the ones that are probably um, one of the more hard ones to explain, but essentially, if you click on any driver, any car, or any glider, on the left side there's coin or there's points, and if you race long enough with the driver, they get to a cap, and you can't increase them anymore unless you have one of these tickets. And if you have one of these tickets, you can apply it to that driver, and it'll give you a small little boost where you can race then more with the driver, and it'll uh, boost up his points um, too. So um, you can do it. You can kind of single cap a driver, you can double cap a driver, or you can triple cap a driver. And as you kind of like get to the caps, you can kind of experiment and click on them and figure out how many tickets you'll need to unlock things, unlock the driver, cart, or glider a little bit more.
And the more you point cap a character, card, or glider in the game, the higher their overall points will be, which would mean you get more points when you're racing. So you don't really want to use these tickets on a kart, a driver, or a glider that you don't like. You definitely want to save these. These are pretty impressive tickets too. So you want to make sure you're putting it on items that you really like in the game.
And you can only uncap an item 3 times. So you can, and as Mark was alluding to, it takes more tickets with each time that you want to go from uncapping it once to twice to 3 times.
So if someone says triple point cap, that means they have a lot of these tickets into this thing. So that's the lingo.
All right. I think the next ticket is kind of the funnest ticket. Angela, do you want to talk a little bit about the coin rush ticket?
Yeah, so the coin rush ticket, you can earn actually through challenge cards, but the coin rush ticket is basically a free play in the game where you just go and collect as many coins as you possibly can. You get to play as Gold Mario, which is the only place you can play as Gold Mario is using this coin rush ticket. If you go back to the shop, actually, in the shop, if you get I think it's about 3/4 of the way down, you'll see there's a little picture that says coin rush and it's got Mario totally in gold, and then he's got some kind of background of like, come play with me. So if you touch coin rush, then you can use one of your coin rush tickets, and you will basically be going through a level of the game where all of the coins are attracted to you like a magnet. So you can it's around 400 coins, but it's good to add to your total, and you can use that. Say you're running low on your currency in the game, you're running low on the coins, definitely go in and use one of these tickets because you can come out with about 800 coins. So if you stockpile these, you could add up to something bigger to buy with this currency, like in the tier shop or the daily selects, more of like a high end item.
You might notice as well that you can spend rubies on doing coin rush. We don't recommend doing that, right, Angela?
Well,
Right, Angela? Yes, we do not recommend doing that. Do not do that. It's a bad use of your rubies.
No, the rubies are the more rare currency than the coins, it turns out. So if you don't know the game, you could make this mistake. I am guilty. But also, yeah, don't do it. Don't do it. You'll regret it later. So just use your coin rush tickets almost as a bank and figure out each coin rush ticket is about 800 coins for you. Or you can cash them all in and have your coins at the ready and your currency at the top of your game.
I like to hoard them and then have them as a backup in case I'm ever running low on coins.
A rainy day
Yep.
fund for Ryan.
So yeah, it's fun to race through there. It really is. It's a fun setting in the game.
Cool. And then the last ticket, maybe there's two
There's
more.
2.
There's star tickets. Kristal, you want to quickly explain the star tickets?
Yeah, star tickets relate to the gifts, the tour gifts back at the bottom of your screen in the middle. So if you need a little help getting your next tour gift, you can use those star tickets to get you up to that next level and get those gifts in that row. A side note, as you get farther in the game, eventually those star tickets basically become coins. So either way, they're useful. When you get to the top of your tour gifts, instead of giving you more gifts, they just give you coins.
Yeah. The last ticket in the game is the quick ticket, which has the little kind of racer toad on it in red. It's got a green background. This is kind of relates back to just your opening menu. If you're starting to log into your tour, say at the first day, all of the cups won't be open, and you can use that to open cups. So basically, it's sort of like fast forwarding in time in your game. So if you don't want to wait the full, I think it's
5 days for them to open all up.
Yeah, 5 days. You can use that to open up these cups early. So this might be good for like a casual player that doesn't want to log in every day and do their races. If you want to unlock some of those early and just get more racing out of the way, it can be useful for you.
Yeah, and the last cup will open up if the tour starts on a Wednesday. The last cup opens up on the following Monday.
Right. So I think the next important thing to talk through before we actually talk about gameplay is maybe the settings aspect of it. So in the menu, you click on menu, you can go to um, settings in the bottom right, and it has a couple different settings. We like to race and always in portrait mode, right, guys? At least I do.
Yeah, I do.
I do.
Yep.
Yeah. So we do portrait mode. And then the other five, there's five main kind of components to it's called control method, which dictates how you want to drive. And you can either turn stuff on or turn off stuff. The first one is called manual drift. Ryan and I both use manual drift. Ryan, do you want to talk a little bit more about what manual drift is?
Sure. So manual drift is controlling when your mini turbo starts, and you generally do that by dragging your thumb back and forth across the screen. And that's how you can steer. So you can start on the right and drag towards the left to steer to the left, and vice versa to steer to the right. And then depending on, you can make adjustments. Generally, we found that you can get higher scores using the manual drift, and higher scores are all that really matters in the game. And able to maintain a longer combo by using manual drift.
I would say this is the most controversial of the settings. So, um, right now, if you have manual drift turned on, you will probably find it really hard to steer and kind of go where you want. It kind of takes some getting used to. All the like competitive drivers, like Ryan was saying, if you really want to get high scores, I'll probably use manual drift as turned on. It's easier to kind of get coins, and it's the most important part of the game. And kind of collecting high scores is getting turbos and getting turbos to last long. And manual drift is a way of uh, kind of deciding when you want to use your drifts and keep your combos going. That's probably the best way to explain it. For anyone that's beginning, you might want to turn it off. It'd probably make more sense for you to turn it off and be a little less frustrating for you. But as you kind of get more involved with Mario Kart, you might want to think about turning it on and seeing if you can kind of figure it out. We could go on forever about manual drift and how to use it. But the next one is the steer drift button display. Um,
Does anyone
does
have this on? I don't.
I don't. It kept getting in the way for me. What it does in the middle of a race, um, close to where the X button is when you're scrolling through something, right at the bottom of the screen, it has a button that says steer or drift. It'll say steer if you have manual drift turned on. It'll say drift if you have manual drift turned off. What I continued to find with that is that I kept accidentally pressing that button, and it kept messing up my driving, where I'd be trying to do a mini turbo, and then all of a sudden I'd hit steer and I'd go and like crash into a wall. So once I figured out that that button was available to turn off, I did, and I've never turned it back on.
I would just recommend turning it off.
Yeah, I think that's the
Agreed.
consensus.
What about smart steering? I have that one actually turned off. Do you guys have it turned on?
I have it turned on myself. I found that more often than not, it hurts me to have it off because you can more easily go off course and then you can lose a lot of time if you're like stuck in the grass. Smart steering kind of helps you a little bit to stay on course and then you can kind of focus on other things in the game. I'd say when you first start out playing, I would leave it on. Maybe later when you're more advanced, you could experiment with turning it off.
Why do you turn it off, Mark?
I feel like sometimes you want to go off road. So if you have like a mushroom or something like that, and you tap your mushroom, and you want to like cut something and cut through the tall grass because you have a mushroom, feel like it helps you a little bit more. Um, Maybe. And then there's other times where you want to get all the way to like the far side of the course and just barely be on, and this kind of gives you maybe a little more. It's kind of like just putting all the effort on me, and not the computer's not helping you out at all. So I think I don't notice it too much though. To be honest with you, whether it's on or off.
Okay. So auto item. I think that there's a strategy to having this on or off. I think in your normal tour, just racing through, I always have auto item on so that you have the highest chance to get what we call a frenzy. Frenzies can get you really high scores on a race. So that's kind of my strategy. Does anyone do that differently?
Yeah, I have mine off. But again, as you're starting the game, probably leave it on. By turning it off, it gives you more power. If you'd like to save an item, it doesn't automatically release it before you hit your next item box. So, for example, if you had a green shell that was protecting you and you wanted to save that, you could with auto item off. If auto item is on, when you before you hit that next item box, that green shell is gonna be gone for you, and you'll just be at the mercy of whatever new items you get. So, like the other things, it just turning it off gives you more control as a driver. If you want that, then turn it off. If you don't, leave it on.
Yeah, I think like Angela was saying, there's a little bit of a strategy to it. So if you're definitely racing for first all the time, I would maybe turn it off and just then you're kind of in control. You never lose a banana that's protecting you, right at the end of the race. If you're going for high scores though, you might want to think about turning it on. It's one less thing to think about as you go through item boxes. It'll automatically reset. And the reason you want that is if you have like a green shell and a banana, and you don't want to like have to think about throwing them off to the side, this will automatically get rid of both of them and give you 3 new things. And if you get 3 of the same things, it counts as a frenzy, which will drastically increase your score. So it's just kind of what situation you're in if you want to have it on or off.
Yeah, a note for people that have played Mario Kart on other systems on the Switch, the Wii, the Wii U, and going back to the N64. When we're talking about a frenzy, we're basically talking about a star. That is kind of the star in this game where you're going to be invincible. But in this game, it's not just a blanketed star. You have a special item back to when each character could have a special item that could come up, or there's other rolls of dices that you can get with items. But you're invincible, you're going really fast, and your character kind of turns to this like gold color, and they're just pedal to the
Racking up
metal.
tons of points.
Yep.
Sometimes with auto item too, depending on the track, it's just hard to release all of your items before you get through the next item box. So auto item just makes it a little bit easier to do that.
I just think of like when you say turbo, I think of Wreck-It Ralph when he's going turbo. um, and then the last one here is gyro handling. I believe
Don't do it.
I believe it's like the ability to tip your phone left and right, and it'll help you steer.
You know
It
who
is.
this is for, right? It's for the people that they used to make fun of in like the 90s that would like do their controller to the SNES like this. When they were trying to change directions.
Hey,
It's like you can do that in real life now.
that's not nice.
But I don't use it. You guys don't use it either, right?
I tried to, but I found it was really hard to keep control of the cart, and I'd overcorrect or couldn't. I'd be tilting it too far the one direction to the left, and I needed to start turning to the right, and I couldn't. So I just abandoned it.
Yeah, I'd say just leave it off. I think you're better off just trying to get a handle on the game without it on.
I think the last settings here are more like master volume, sound, language, other stuff like accounts. So I think all that's more self-explanatory.
The one thing with the power saving is that if you've noticed when you're driving, there's a little map in the upper left corner while you're racing. showing your little icons and where everybody is on the map. If you turn power saving on, that map disappears. So if you notice it's gone or it was never there, go and check your power saving if you want to see it. And then you can kind of see how much of a lead you have over the computers or your multiplayer competitors.
That's something I learned.
Yeah, I was
I
going to
think-
say, I didn't know that either, Ryan.
Ryan taught me that a while ago. Because he'll be watching me play and be like, your power saving mode's on. I'm like, okay. So I think the next big thing to get into is gameplay, which is kind of the whole reason we're all here.
Yeah, we saved the,
The
best
fun
for
parts.
last.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I'll take the first stab at narrating some of this. So on the main menu, we kind of talked about the top, where you have your coins and rubies. We talked about the bottom and the different overviews there. But in the middle is where all the racing occurs. So there's cups, which are the little circle things, kind of towards the middle bottom. And as you scroll left and right, there's different cups. Within each cup, so there's 12 cups per tour. Within each cup, there's four squares. The top two squares in this bottom left square is all races, where you go in and you race against the computer. The bottom right square is a challenge, and each challenge is different. There's snap a photo, there's hit item boxes, there's blow up different things, there's a gliding one, there's avoid obstacles. So it's a little bit of each different cup has a slightly different challenge. And then the races themselves, so the top two and the bottom left, each race has a different track. And then as you click on just one of them, Kristal, why don't you kind of explain maybe the differences and what selections you have available once you click on a race?
Yeah, so you'll notice there's 3 rows. Just to keep it simple, the top row is the best. That's how you're going to get the frenzies. So you get 3 item boxes. Just in general, you're getting more items on the race, more points, and the chance to get 3 things that are the same, which is a frenzy, which is tons of points. So when you start out, you might not have a driver up on that top row, but if you do, that's the one you want to race with. The second row, you get 2 items per box, which is good too. You're not going to get any frenzies there, but at least you're getting twice as many items as the last row, which is the 1 item. So you just get 1 item at a time. You can still race like that. When you start, you're probably mostly going to be racing like that. But this is why it's good to have a whole variety of drivers. And it seems like high-end ones tend to be the ones on the top row, maybe some supers, maybe a normal. But yeah, as you play the game, you'll realize what drivers are more valuable because they'll appear on the middle row and the top row a lot more often.
Yeah, and then with karts, drivers and gliders, all of them, for each different race you pick on, the driver could be in the top row in one race, they could be in the middle of the next, and then the following track it could be on the bottom. So each kind of race is going to be a little bit different. So when we talk about good drivers, a lot of the times we'll talk about from not just what items they have special to them, like the coin boxes that we love, but we'll also talk about coverage and kind of, are they very good and they cover a lot of tracks or a lot of races, or are they just not useful at all for the coverage? So Angela, why don't you talk a little bit about karts?
So karts is sort of the same type of category as driver. So your top level is your top karts. It's going to earn you the most points. And like we talked about karts, each kart has its own skill. It's got a little picture in the left corner. So if your kart is at the top and it's got its skill and you're racing through the race, if you're doing that skill a lot in that race, that will maximize your points. So when you're choosing a kart, you kind of want to look at the skill and kind of maybe race the course once and say, is there a lot of jumps in it? Is there a lot of dash panels? You just kind of want to see what's in the race. And then that kind of helps you choose not only the top row, but maybe which one in the top row to choose.
And this is like what Kristal was always saying. You probably most likely always want to just pick the top row if you have it available. There's a couple weird nuances where you might not want to if you have someone in the second row that you have a significantly higher level than maybe your top one. Maybe that's an option if you're beginning out, but typically you kind of always want to go with the top row as well. So carts also, I'll say the last thing. So drivers control frenzies. Getting frenzies if you have them in the top row. The carts, they control your total points that you earn throughout the race. So if you go over jump, you'll notice like a little tiny number that pops up and saying how many points you earn for the jump. The carts are kind of like additional multiplier onto that points you earn throughout a race itself, whether it's jumps, mini turbos, slip screens, getting items like coin boxes and collecting coins and stuff. They'll give you a little bit of a boost, and that's what the kind of cart special traits are. And while the drivers are more like the frenzies. So, Ryan, do you want to take a stab at the gliders?
Sure.
And kind of talk through some of them.
Sure. So the same with the gliders. There's 3 different tiers of gliders. Again, you always want to go with the highest tier. So I have some that are on the top shelf here. What the higher leveled ones, what the top shelf listed ones will do is give you a longer time in between one of your combo actions, which is doing a mini turbo, hitting another player, collecting a coin, any of those kinds of items, going over a jump, a dash panel. It give the higher the level of the glider and the higher up the ranking it is, whether it's the bottom combo bonus 1, combo bonus 2, combo bonus 3, it'll give you a longer boost for the combo time in between those actions, and then the higher level of the glider will give you an extended time on that as well. And then they also help with the multiplier on your point bonus as well.
Right. So yeah, it's very similar to all 3 of these. You always kind of want to just pick the top row most likely. That's probably going to end up with the highest points after the race for you.
So once you pick all 3 items, there's one other thing that you can kind of vary here. It's where they have the mushrooms. It says right now it says 150 and you've got 3 mushrooms. 150 cc's, you'd probably be familiar with this from Mario Kart. It's just how fast you're going. And this is the same, for quite a long time. So if you're beginning, maybe start at 50 cc's if that feels okay for you. But to earn the most points, you probably want to be at 150 if you're trying to unlock those stars. But yeah, if you're learning the race too and you feel like you're lost about where to turn and everything, maybe try 50 cc's because that's a little slower.
The computers are not as aggressive in that either. It might be a good place to start if you're trying to learn how to do manual drift too.
So typically then once you choose how fast you want to go, your speed, then you just hit okay and then you get into the race.
Cool. And once you're in the race, they'll start you at the start line and it'll go 3, 2, 1, go. And then you just kind of use your thumb to steer and collect coins and hit item boxes, right?
Yep.
Why don't you talk a little bit, Ryan, about the rocket start? How do you get a fast start when you're starting races? Is there anything you look at as they count down?
Yeah, so you wait on the countdown until it hits 2, and then you hold down on the screen. And as long as you're holding down there, once the race starts, you'll get a rocket start. And it'll give you the bonus points for that. And if you happen to pick a cart with a rocket start bonus boost, you'll get extra points for doing that versus a cart that doesn't have that.
Yeah, so this
Yeah.
rocket start goes back to the old Mario Karts too, where you just wait for that 2 to flip and you hold it down as hard as you can to boost off. So that's kind of revisited in this game too, which everyone loves.
And if you do it right, the character will do like a little look back at you and give you a thumbs up or something. So that's how you know you kind of did it right. If you do it wrong, you won't get a rocket start. You won't go fast from the beginning, or if you kind of burn out and be stuck if you hold it a little bit too long. So Let's see. Any other gameplay items that we want to talk through?
From this screen, you can see that you can do an auto race, which the game will just take over and just do a race on its own. From here, if you want, you can change like filters on the screen, take pictures of the carts and save them. I know I've seen some people doing that to use as backgrounds on their phones. But you can also use this as a way to collect experience for drivers, carts, and gliders without actually having to do the race yourself, um, which can save you some time or maybe some headache of having to do the race each time.
Yeah, so if you just want to kind of level up a cart or glider or driver, you can do this. You can do it in auto. I recommend hitting the whistle in the screen when it begins. Either hit it and have it a one show up on the whistle or a two. That'll make sure you finish in first place too and collect the most experience points that you can.
Yeah, as you finish a lower place in each race, you get less experience. So an auto race is finishing in first, you get 8 points. And then as you drop from second to third to fourth, it takes off one experience. So it goes to 7 to 6 to 5 to 4. I think the lowest you can get is 3 in a race.
Yeah, so you could actually play through all the tracks if you wanted to in auto. If you don't feel like racing, you can. But really, the point of the game is to go through and play yourself, just to really enjoy doing the cup yourself.
Yeah. So I think the last thing that we want to talk about is the competitive side of the game. And the competitive side involves the first kind of race, the first cup each week in the tour. It's going to be the first cup, and then in the second week of the tour, it jumps from the first cup to the third cup, and that will you get kind of put against other players in each one of the tier rankings, and you can kind of compete to see who gets the highest score. So, Kristal, do you want to talk about how you get the highest score?
Yeah, so if you click on that tier ranking, you'll see that there's 20 other players that you're pitted against. And based on where you place in your total score, you'll get different rewards. So right now, Ryan is at tier 47. His top reward is 40 rubies, 2,000 coins, 4 points cap, driver high end tickets, 4 points cap, super driver tickets, and 4 points cap normal driver tickets. So you get a lot
driver,
of stuff.
Kristal. Those are carts.
Oh,
You silly.
they rotate. So another week it would be drivers. I
Yes,
apologize.
They do.
Yes.
They do. Yep.
So yeah, right now they are carts. But basically if you get first, you're going to get a lot of stuff. And if you look on down the tier, it kind of diminishes as you get lower and lower. So what that score means and how you get to first is they're going to add up the 3 scores you get on those 3 races. So they do not count that little challenge at the end where you get the 3 stars. It's the 5-star races. Those first 3, they're going to add up those 3 scores, and that'll be your total, which will count for your ranking. So if you're trying to get higher on that ranking board, you just keep racing at those courses, and as you do them over and over again, you'll probably get a better score.
Yeah. So I think when we were starting, what do we focus on? I think the most important one is like having a driver that's in the top tier that can get you frenzies, right, guys?
Yeah, that's the best way
Yeah.
to earn the most points.
I think it's important to note that in this game, really I guess I feel like the 2 things that really, really matter for earning points are your drivers and your cart and your gliders. I don't know if you guys disagree, but the drivers get the frenzies and the gliders get your combo time, which means can lead to a longer and longer combo, which at the end of a race, sometimes you'll see a combo like X times 30 maybe in the beginning, or if you're getting really, really high in the game, you can get in the hundreds or maybe even break 200. So those are kind of the 2 things to maybe focus on the most. Does anyone disagree? Does anyone think the carts just as important, or?
No, I totally with you. I think the easiest way to understand kind of what you're talking about, Angela, is if you were to start a race and just go over a jump, they're gonna maybe give you 100 points for that jump. Um, and then, but if you have a combo going and you go over that exact same jump, but you have a combo of, 100 or 50 even, um, and you're kind of stacking onto it, it won't just give you 100 points for that jump. It might give you 200 or 300, depending on how you kind of have your combo going. So that's why frenzies help you kind of stack those combos and keep those combos higher, get them higher and higher. And then once you kind of get higher and higher, each additional thing you kind of do it will just generate you more points.
So that's if you want to put up big scores, that's kind of the thing to keep in mind is the combo and the frenzies with your driver to try to, if you want to get a higher score, maybe re-race and try to get a higher combo and try to get more frenzies. If you can, I think the max you maybe can ever get out of a race is 3 if it's a long race, but 1 or 2, pretty much 2 will earn you a pretty decent score.
This might be obvious too, but getting first also gets you more points.
Mhm.
And getting first and then having your player rank, your player level higher, also earns you more points for being in first.
It does pay to be obsessive.
So, and then obviously, as you get a higher and higher tier, you get placed against higher competition, and it gets probably a little bit harder as you get up, and you got to kind of generate more points to get first spot. Um, I think that's about it for what we wanted to cover for you beginners out there. Please let us know if you have any questions, right? Anything else we can talk a little bit more about, but did you guys have anything else you wanted to cover?
Yeah, I did actually. So there is a limit to the amount of experience and coins that you can collect in a single day. So if you're just a free to play player, you can collect a maximum of 300 coins per day. Um, which we can go into more detail about how you can get a little bit more than that later. And then the amount of experience you can get is capped at 450, and that experience is what you put into the base points of your driver, cart, and glider, and it spreads out across them. If you get the gold pass, which is a monthly $5 subscription, um, they double the amount of coins and the amount of experience you can get for each one.
Do you guys want to get into Gold Pass and maybe why you should get it or not?
Yeah, I think it's a good starting point. I mean, it really comes down to if you want to invest money in the game or not, or how often you're going to play it. For the $5 a month that you put in Gold Pass, if you're going to play this game for at least 5 hours a month, you're kind of investing in a dollar per hour, which is pretty cheap. But I say if you're going to play it a lot, Gold Pass is definitely where it's at. You'll find a lot more things come out of Gold Pass. You'll enjoy the game a lot more. You'll help level up, and it does put you kind of above your competition, especially in these tier rankings when you go against other players.
Yeah, but if you're just starting out and you want to find out if you like the game, there is a ton of stuff you can access for free. It's really a pretty loaded, interesting, well designed game that you can access for absolutely free.
Yeah, you could definitely enjoy the game playing it for free. If you feel yourself being like, oh, I don't have enough, I need to level this up, or you want this or that, I think it's not a bad way to spend $5 a month. You get a lot out of it. And if you listen to our weekly episodes too, we'll say, this is the week to get Gold Pass. Like, this is an excellent week. We'll try to give you guys a heads up too. If you're wondering, maybe I should splurge on it, we'll try to give you a heads up on that. We all have Gold Pass. We all enjoy Gold Pass. If we're talking about tour gifts, oftentimes we'll talk about Gold Pass rewards because those are typically the high end rewards.
Anything else we want to cover, guys? I think that's a pretty good beginning episode.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
I think we're anyone who's starting. We hope that this really helps you and maybe understand our lingo and our kind of weekly episodes. Thank you guys for listening. Oh, Kristal, you have one more thing?
I'm just looking at Ryan's screen and we never talked about the daily challenge. And if you're starting in the game, that's a way to get rubies and some extra things. So basically, what that is every day you'll have a race that they have you do. It's just one race, takes a couple minutes, and you'll get to either do a pipe or you get 5 rubies, depending on the day. So that's when I first get started in the game. That's something I always do each day because it's basically like a free gift of rubies or some kind of driver, kart, or glider that you'll get. Yeah, you can click on that like Ryan is with the pipe content. There's, mostly you're going to get things that aren't that valuable, but there's a chance you could get a lot of rubies, a lot of coins, or a high-end driver kart glider. So it's always worth the chance.
Yeah, and to note, we were confused when this launched. I thought you had to get first to pull the pipe. You can get any place. You can do it on any speed. All you have to do is do the race. That's it. But also, this is an interesting part of the game because they will give you characters, karts, and gliders that you don't have. And you can kind of try them out. You can see what they're like. It really is a fun aspect of the game. Sometimes they're kind of baiting you into getting into pipes or other things to try to get new items, but it's really fun. Does that wrap everything up, Ben?
I think I'm good. Sorry to interrupt our wrap up.
No, that's fine. That's very helpful. I think it's a newer part of the game too, so this hasn't been around that long, considering the history of the game.
Yeah, if you can't find it, it's before the very first cup. Like right now, it's a leaf in the game. It's a little icon before the very first cup.
Right.
Yeah, and I think what Angela kind of said to begin the podcast is this is a good beginner episode. We might do a couple more of these episodes that kind of give you little tricks to help you guys out a little bit more. But most of the time, our podcast is going to be more based around the kind of each tour and kind of what's new with it, and hopefully we kind of help you out and navigate Mario Kart Tour a little bit more.
Yeah, thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate it. Please look for us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. It's Tour de Kart, TOurDekart. So please look for us. And also we have tourdekart@gmail.com. If you have any questions, just send us an email. We'll check that too. So thank you guys. We really appreciate it. Keep racing and hold your rubies.
Hold your rubies.
Hold your rubies.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Bye.